of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Rio and California.
Now, I want to touch something this morning that is very delicate for some people. But one thing I have learned to respect what the scripture says. You know, that's what it is. And sometimes we go on a limb, and we present things that we feel, and we're warned in the Bible, sometimes they say, follow the heart. No. The Bible says that the heart is wicked, beyond our wildest imagination. And I've seen where these beliefs have developed into denomination and cults, where people don't want to leave from where they are because what they have heard is exactly what they want to hear. And so they want to stay there because it seems as though it is right, what has been said to them. And this is a very, very serious challenge. So it says the Bible treats the teaching of the gospel. So all of that comes from a proper teaching of the gospel for it to be done the way God wants. Or where improper teaching is done, where we allow some crazy stuff to permeate the body of Christ, and then people start to take them as doctrine. It says the Bible treats the teaching of the gospel not as a casual gift, but as a serious responsibility. Letting untrained or unvetted individuals lead carries specific risks. And I want people to hear that clearly this morning. In James 3:1, it says, not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. And I want you to allow that to permeate your mind. That those of us who teach the word of God will be judged more strictly. We cannot assume things. We better get it right. You better get it right, and don't be laying claim that it's coming from here or there. You, whatever comes out of your mouth to other people, it may very well be to their destruction, and it may very well be what they want to hear because they have itchy ears. You're telling them what they want to hear, and by that they grab it and they go with it. Nobody can then. The hardest thing to do is to undo wrong teaching that has been accepted as true. Very difficult because some people don't even want to allow others to say things to them. I've seen people who have high qualification, who should be willing to listen and hear, unwilling to budge from where they are for wrong things. Imagine that nowhere in the Bible you can hear praying to Mary is a criteria, but there are people who pray to Mary and you can't tell them don't do that. They're not going to stop. They're going to get angry with you. They're going to call you out for calling them out. Those are very serious things that if we read the scriptures closely, quickly we're going to step away from those wrong teachings. And people don't like when we do these things, but more and more as people grasp these things and hold them dearly, they're going to be a problem. There's a danger in distortion when you distort the scriptures. It says in 2 Peter 3:16, it says, he speaks about these things in all his letters. There are some things in them that are hard to understand. He's talking about Paul. Peter is saying that Paul write some things that are hard to understand. And this is coming from the Apostle Peter. So how could someone just go and grab that? He didn't say, I will lean on the Holy Spirit to tell me. He's saying that these things are hard to understand, right? There are some things in them that are hard to understand, which ignorant and unstable people distort, as they do the other scriptures, to their own destruction. Do not distort scriptures. And then there's pride. Somebody comes in new and you give that person something to do, and the person becomes prideful, and you have to wait. The Bible warns us. It says in 1 Timothy 3, this which comes from the pastoral book, this is what God gives to the church on how to conduct its business. 1 and 2 Timothy and Titus. It says, he must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. Warning. Put somebody who is new to do things that they're not supposed to do, that's a problem. That's not coming from me. It's coming from the scriptures. 1 Timothy 3:6. It becomes the blind leading the blind, which is mentioned in Matthew 15:14. Leave them. They are blind guides. If the blind leads the blind, both will fall into a pit. You can't be blind and be leading people. You cannot know and want to tell. That's a problem. That's a problem. It has to come from somebody. If you look around, you will see even in the secular world, doctors spend many years studying. Engineers spend many years studying. Lawyers spend many years studying. People who are proficient in their craft must spend time studying. If it was just to allow people to be led by the Spirit, then why did Jesus take time out to teach the apostles, the disciples? As a matter of fact, when I talk about discipleship, it's the guiding of the people that you are responsible for, to disciple them, to let them know, because that's that part of this, the mind that the Spirit helps to control, that will allow you to come to truths that you know. That's what is important. There's a biblical standard to prevent these dangers. The New Testament provides a vetting list for those who handle the word. 1 Timothy 3:2-3 talks about a proven life. So now the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-control, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. It goes further and talks about doctrinal mastery. In Titus 1:9, he must hold firmly to the trustworthy message as it has been taught. As it has been taught. So this person who then goes to share with others has been taught, so that he can encourage others by sound doctrine and refute those who oppose it. So that he can encourage others by sound doctrine and refute those who oppose it. So if what you believe is not right, it is the person who has been trained and knows what it's all about that is then able to go and correct. A life of integrity. We're talking about the list that identifies teachers. 1 Timothy 3:4-5 says, he must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him, and he must do so with a proper amount of respect. If anyone does not know how to manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? Someone who is living a reckless life, doing some crazy stuff, you can't allow this person to go on. And his family, his own family does not respect him. So the Bible is saying here, remember now, these things that God put are not things that is we can, because some people come up with some arguments. You and I don't have that leverage. You listen to the things of God and you obey, or you try to do your own thing. And doing your own thing is missing the mark, it's sin. 2 Timothy 2:15 says, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, and who correctly handles the word of truth.
of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
Prepare for the sweltering heat with a Rheem AC unit to keep you and your family cool and cozy. Get the recommended BTU for your bedroom or living room and enjoy complete comfort. You can also save some much-needed cash with an inverter unit, which provides superior energy efficiency. When the heat is on, stay cool with an affordable, dependable AC unit from Rheem. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting, just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place me ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and
welcome
keys.
to another edition of Rise and Shine. Today is May the 25th. Thank you so much for joining us live on this beautiful Monday morning. What a beautiful day it is. I think that the sun and the weather has been playing games with us, hasn't it? Yesterday we had the Global Day of Prayer. Around the world we celebrate Pentecost Sunday, and on Pentecost Sunday there's an organization in different parts of the world that puts together Global Day of Prayers, and here in the capital city of Belmopan, it is something that we have done for several years now, to have a Global Day of Prayer. And as we were out there, you know, I think most of 10 drops dropped on me, like 10 drops. So it was like, okay, is this rain or is this not rain? And by the time you say, is this rain or is this not rain? It was finished. And so today, again, in the capital city of Belmopan, the skies are overcast, and it started like that yesterday in the capital city again. But there was no rain. Today, the general situation calls for moist and somewhat unstable conditions to take place. For the next 24 hours, we can expect sunny with cloudy spells today and isolated showers or thunderstorms developing mostly tonight. So we can expect some cloudy skies tonight with a few showers or thunderstorms and periods of rain, mainly over the south and over the coast. Marine conditions. The winds are expected to blow from the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots, with sea state moderate and waves 4 to 6 feet. Temperatures. Inland 96 degrees Fahrenheit will be the highs, 72 degrees Fahrenheit will be the low. So it's still going to be a warm day, as you can see, with 96 degrees being the highs for inland. On the coast, the temperature will be 89 degrees Fahrenheit, 79 is the low, and in the hills, 83 degrees Fahrenheit is expected to be the high, with 68 degrees as the low. The outlook is for cloudy spells with generally isolated showers or isolated thunderstorms, mostly over inland areas on Tuesday afternoon and over the south on Tuesday night. So that is our weather report. And as it looks, what it looks for Tuesday, Wednesday, and the rest of the week is some sunny with cloudy spells. So are we moving towards the end of the drought? It's been an extended dry. I'm using definitely a lot of water on my gardening. However, there are some people who love to garden in the dry season because there's a little bit less disease to contend with, but you have to use a lot of water to keep your garden going. So I absolutely see several people that have tomatoes. I've had a good stock of tomatoes. I probably have maybe 10, about 30 tomato plants. So I'm getting a very good turnover of actual tomatoes from the amount of tomato plants that I did. You know that we sell tomatoes at Blessed Garden. We sell the seedlings, kale seedlings, mustard seedlings. I do have some good tomato seedlings right now for Roma, which is a hardy plant, jalapeno, and I think at the bottom there you can see Swiss chard. Swiss chard is one of my favorites. It's very easy to grow. Not many Belizeans grow it, but I grow it and I sell it as well. Hopeful that some more Belizeans can get to enjoy this. But things like Callaloo is coming up, and I know when the rains start, Callaloo is really going to come through. Chaya, the price of food is expensive right now. The prices are really high. Add some locally grown vegetables to your food stock. Add some vegetables. The last time there was a whole noodles quarrel, ramen quarrel, because the government took the price up for imported ramen, because Belize now has Mana, its own Belizean food supply. Did the company negotiate to try to get some kind of an environment where they can compete? They absolutely did, but I'm sorry. But I talked about the fact that you can add egg to noodles, you can add vegetables to noodles. I'm sorry. That water went down the wrong canal, right? Sorry about that. We can add different vegetables. You can cut up some okra, different things that are very, very easy to grow, and subsidize that as a part of any of your base foods. Even though it was dry, I was able to grow some cilantro as well. My wife loves cilantro. She uses it in a lot of different foods, and we also do a cilantro rice. Very delicious cilantro rice. All of these came from my garden, and right now with the jalapeno, the amount that we have is so much that we have been able to pickle some of them. So I'm still waiting to see how that experiment is going to turn out. But the jalapeno, when you pickle it, that is what is used in your chips and dip supreme. You can use it in salads. There's just a variety of ways that you can add you can use jalapeno, which again is very easy to grow in Belize. I do have some habanero plants and some Scotch bonnet plants, and I just got some seeds from my sister, which are the stingless habanero. Very strong habanero smell, very strong habanero taste, but it does not burn. And so a lot of people like that, but I haven't put it in the ground yet. I'm waiting for the rainy season to kick over. But there's some, as I said, some people like to garden in the dry, and some people like to garden in the wet. So we are putting together a whole host of seedlings for those of you who like to make God water your plants. Plants do very, very well with rainwater. And so I know once the dry season is done, I remove those old plants, prepare my soil again, and then I go. So we do have soil available, and we have soil available for the gardeners who want to and prefer to garden during the rainy season. Your cucumbers do well, your watermelons do well. I like to do squash as well in the rainy season. So there's a whole variety that I prefer to do in rainy season, and those that I do during the drier season of the year. So we're slowly putting Blessed Gardens back together, and many people are again getting their products from us. So it's not just a plug, but whenever rainy season is coming, this is a great time for you to put some stuff into the ground. I am telling you, when the price of food goes up the way it has gone up so far, it doesn't go back down. Like inflation just eats that out, and those become the new prices. So what are you going to do? Are you just going to complain, or are you going to take the small portion of land that you still have and begin to plant something? And then again, we sell just the pure compost for those of you who already have soil. So you can just take that compost and you mix it with your pre-existing soil, and you're gone clear. So what I try to do is to improve my soil every year. And earlier this year, when the 3 winners of the Agriculture and Trade Show Farmer of the Year were on our program this year, they talked about the fact that slowly, the soil that they are working with is getting better and better. Why? Because you're trying to add organic material to it every single time. So your soil does not have to deteriorate. Your soil can get better and better. Softer soil, more airy soil that can hold water just a little bit longer. You can develop that soil regardless of what you have, and of course we do have the pure compost for that. So I want to talk a little bit first about the price of fuel. There is a lot that is taking place in that area. The government is claiming that it has absorbed $80 million worth of fuel. So there's still the question is, yeah, you may have absorbed $80 million worth of fuel, but the price of fuel is still the highest in the region. So I did a small bit of research to see where we are and where the rest of the Caribbean is as it relates to fuel. Now, there are always those who are going to argue if PUP is in, they will argue on behalf of PUP. So if PUP say the gas prices are high and PUP not in, then you will hear them all lower the price of gasoline. So, but if their party is in, they will try to find all the excuses to the moon and back as to why the price is high, but it's good. And I have seen that in the country of Belize. So at this present moment, People's United Party is in. Those PUP who are just flag wavers, they don't want to look at the maths. They don't even want to say that their government may be doing something wrong. We cannot cater, and we do not cater to such political animals, because if the government does something right, we are going to talk about it and say that the government is doing a good job. But if the government is failing in a particular area, we are going to say that the government is failing in a particular area. And fuel is one such area. And though I use PUP as the example, it is no different for the members of the United Democratic Party. You see? So right now, because fuel high, UDP will be shouting and jumping up and down that the fuel is too high. Right? But when they are in government, when the United Democratic Party is in government, then those rabid UDP will give excuse. Oh, the fuel is high because of this and because of that, and government is trying its best. Well, you can defend your party. I'm not going to stop anybody from defending their political party. But here at Rise and Shine, we want to be analytical. Bring us the evidence. Show us what is taking place. And we won't just speculate too. Not just because everybody jump up and say something wrong, mean we will say something is wrong as well too. We want to look at, say, okay, what is the evidence? How can we analyze it? We can say, okay, why these things are happening? So we tend to march to the beat of our own drums here at Rise and Shine, here at PlusTV. We do not follow a partisan political agenda. But yes, even though we are a Christian owners, we're Christian owners of PlusTV, we also talk about politics. We talk about the politics of the day. And we still also try our best to analyze what is taking place within the country. And that's what it is with the issue of fuel. Fuel prices are too high and do not reflect international prices. So prices all over the world gone up, you know. That's not what I'm saying. But they have not gone up to the extent where last week I paid $15.10 for a gallon of gasoline. It has not gone up to that extent, you see. And so when gasoline was at when gasoline, sorry, I'm looking for the stream. Where is the stream? Do we have the stream on? All right, so I'm trying to get my volume down as well because I need to just monitor what is taking place. Of course, you know that we are available on the various platforms such as PlusTV Belize Facebook, PlusTV YouTube channel, and then of course there's the PlusTV app, and we are preparing a very, very big, very good surprise for the people of Belize that will be coming up very, very soon. But in the meantime, we are also available on the different cable channels across the country, which is Next Gen and Centaur, Southern Cable Network. We hope to continue to be available on those networks. So, gasoline. So, is there a war on? Yes, there is a war on. Are there problems at the Strait of Hormuz? Yes, because of the United States issue with Iran. Iran is intent upon getting a nuclear weapon. And so even though they were bombed earlier in the year by Israel and the United States, so that was an attempt to avoid war. So once Iran reaches a certain grade of uranium and a certain percentage stored towards a nuclear weapon, then you will see that intervention primarily from Israel, because they have made it clear that their nuclear bombs are for Israel. And so Israel is going to do that attack. And we saw it with the assistance of the United States, where they went in, and that was an attempt to avoid war. But within a very short period of time, or a few months, Iran began to pull out, dig out those tunnels, and was right back on track with its nuclear aspirations. And so we now have a war. Yes, there is ceasefire, but the Strait of Hormuz was locked down and closed by Iran. So they created a blockade, and then America came and did a blockade on the blockade. And so each side is holding back the other side's ships from progressing with oil through the Strait of Hormuz. And that has radically affected the price of oil. But the price of oil per barrel has not exceeded what it was just 5 years or 6 years or so under the UDP, and it was under the last part of the UDP, so it's not that far away. So yes, there has been inflation, certain things have gone up, but there was a time when the price per barrel under the United Democratic Party was at 145 US dollars per gallon, per barrel. And at that time, the fuel at the pump was about $12.50. I'm using averages. But when you look at, and these are the metrics, I need to explain that. So don't tell me, oh, but horse dead and cow fat and refinery this and those are not a part of the metrics when we compare gas prices. Because those increase are standard across the board. The refining is standard across the board. As a matter of fact, Africa is doing more refining than ever before. Nigeria, because there's a very wealthy Nigerian that has come into the picture. In the United States, under Donald Trump, a lot more refining and a lot more production is taking place to try to drive the prices down. So there are places in the world where the refining and the production of petrol has actually gone down, and they are pumping out to help stabilize the price so that it does not get to where it was in previous wars. So yes, the price is going up, but it has not gone up to where we are at $15.10 the last time I filled up, and the government is saying it's at $15.10 because they reduced the taxes and not taking the big bite. So there is a problem that has to be addressed. And for me, it was very clear when there was a change of government that the new administration came in with a policy. They do not want to admit it, but I think that the evidence is clear that the PUP administration came into office with a policy that they were going to use the fuel tax to receive huge amounts of money, which they would then in turn use that to develop the country or to carry out the plans that they had. They don't want to admit it, but all the evidence points to that, because the average price of gas under the United Democratic Party was somewhere around $7.50. And when the fuel prices reached around $12 under the United Democratic Party government, those were their highest prices. So as the People's United Party came into office, what was the UDP's highest price in their 13, 14 years of administration became the average price for the PUP. You see? So UDP's highest price became the average price for PUP. It hovered around $12, $11.50, $11.80, $12.10, $12.25, that type of way. So that was not set by world prices. That was not set by any war. PUP's prices at the very beginning were not set by the price of barrel per barrel. It was a policy decision that moved the average from $7 to $12, almost a doubling. And I know because I paid attention to it, and I saw the jump. And I said, this is a policy decision that this readily available money, why? One person imports the fuel, or at least it's supposed to be one person that imports the fuel, so it's easy to track. There's one general storage area in Belize City, so that's also easy to track. And then the taxes, because they're not many gas stations across the country of Belize. You only have and they are owned by either Puma or Shell. Like it's very specific. Uno, you see. So it's like a controlled system, and so everybody have to go to the pump. And so that was a PUP policy decision, to increase the price of fuel, to increase the tax on fuel, so that they can have money to do whatever. And when I came into the Senate, we came into the Senate on the first budget of the new administration. That's when I became a senator. And so for the first time again, I get that big book, and we get it in a digital form. And when I start to prepare for my speech, I said, where's the petroleum money? Where I can't find the petroleum money. Like, where are the taxes for petroleum? Where's the money? It was hidden. So why will you hide the petroleum tax to say this is the amount? Well, you have a policy. So it made sense to me that the amount of money you are pulling out from gasoline as the People's United Party administration is so large that you have to hide it in other revenue. And I spoke on it. I stood up and I spoke on it. So those people out there who are claiming that Louis Wade is silent on petroleum price. Louis Wade does not want to criticize the government. Louis Wade is whatever. I think these people are just up for mischief. That is my opinion. Because who fight this government on marijuana? Who fight this government on the COVID, the so-called free COVID vaccines, when they were purchasing it at a particular price, when around the world it was purchased far cheaper? Who came out with this information and did the investigation? It was us. It was us. So we continue to fight. When the Equal Opportunity Bill, we fought it under UDP, fight it under PUP. We fought some of these issues under both political parties. And the first issue that I brought up when I went into the Senate on behalf of the church was fuel prices. Because if you collect a tremendous amount of tax from petroleum, you cripple the entire economy. That has been my position, because the farmers will be affected, the bus company and transport will be affected, the movement of goods will be affected, the movement of services will be affected, because everybody relies on petroleum. So when the tax is too high on petroleum, it helps inflation, it accelerates inflation, let me put it that way. It accelerates inflation, and the cost of living is increased, because everybody who sells a product wants to get their gas money back. Even selling soil, I want to get my gas money back. I want to ensure that when I make a trip to Dangriga or to Hopkins or to Belize City or wherever I want to go with the soil, I want to be sure that I can get back my fuel. So as fuel climbs, then the price of the commodity climbs as well. The price of the commodity is going to climb, because every person who is in business will want to the best of their knowledge, get back their petroleum money, because it becomes a huge input. It's a huge input in your business. But the government made that decision. The PUP administration made that decision that they were going to collect a big tax off the petroleum. So the average price moved from around $7, it moved to about $12. And then the war came. So when the new budget come out for this new year, I stood up in the Senate again and I said, this entire book upon which you have calculated the budget for Belize, this entire book is based upon fuel being at a certain price. And immediately after they published the book, what happened? War started. And the price of fuel skyrocketed. And if you go check my speech, our senior government senator, Senator Eamon Courtney, admitted that yes, when the budget was calculated for this year, there was no war, and that the war has changed everything, which means that government has to be adjusting and government must keep on adjusting. And that's what you're seeing right now. So remember, what did the government announce? Government announced free education for government secondary schools. They're really supposed to put that on hold, you know. Because that was going to come from an improved economy. Because last year economy had its issues. You come into a new year and immediately there is a war in Iran. That don't know if we government do the war in Iran, but the war is here, and the war is affecting gasoline prices, which is one of the ways that the government pulls revenue. Government have to pull money from somewhere. Taxation, it has to. So the point is that which you expected to generate a certain amount of money from, you can't generate it from there anymore because the prices have become exorbitant. The fuel prices have become exorbitant. And I laugh, you know, because we put ourselves in this mess. Because after you don't announce free education for government secondary schools, and you don't beat the drum, and the kids and the parents anticipate now that they don't have to pay nothing for secondary school, and then the bucket bottom drop out in a gasoline, where you gonna get the money from? Where you gonna get the money from? And the honest thing to do, not necessarily the honest thing, but the prudent thing to do, is to go and say, you know that free education that we promised government schools, we can't do it again till the war done and prices stabilize. That's the prudent thing to do. We'll say, as I explained, I am not a politician, I'm not PUP, I'm not UDP, I sit here, I sit in the Senate on behalf of the church, I sit here. I cannot tell the government what to do. As a senator, I can say this is the issue. Because we are heading into a financial hole, and there are two of the low budget airlines that we clap and say, yes, 2 low budget airlines are now flying in Belize, which means that more tourists can come because it's the prohibitive price of visiting Belize by air has gone down. Both airlines, again, probably because of fuel, because the amount of fuel it takes to fly a plane, both airlines have shut down. They have shut down Belize, and by virtue of shutting down, that is going to affect the tourism industry again. It affects the price. fuel has affected that, so that will affect the tourism industry. So the tourism industry will not pull in as much as it wants to pull in. And so these are like domino, they affect each other. So the prudent thing is to begin to pull back, for the government to pull back on promises. But will they do that? Will they do that? And the problem is the Belizean people. A part of the problem is the Belizean people. Watch how much public officers, the thief money, immigration, police, transport. You're just hearing about these amounts of money that are being stolen. Why? People not satisfied with their salary. People not satisfied with their salary. And instead of they open a business on the side, they expect that government will pay the pantry for them. You know, there are some people who are on pantry that don't belong on pantry, but for political purposes, they live on pantry. You know that I support all these houses that are going up, these small cement units. I love them. I congratulate the government for them frequently. But government will have to just slow the horse down, because we are kill the horse. We will kill the horse if the gas prices remain exorbitantly high. There's a Miss Debbie drive around and sell her burgers and her most delicious foods, burgers and such. She has to drive from where she lives to Belmopan, drives to Cayo, drives to Belize City. An amazing business model for delicious food. When she comes to Belmopan, people line up for Miss Deb's burgers. Every trip now costs more, because if the average price upon which she calculated the cost of her burgers was $12, 20% of that is $2.40. So do I have that correct? $12? No, I think US. Yeah, 20%, because 10% of $12 is $1.20. So $2.40. Do you know how crazy it is to pay $2.40 more on each gallon? And then it doubled again. Almost doubled, because it went from 12 to 15. So could you imagine the immediate effect that taking the fuel up have on Miss Deb's business? That immediately 20% of her fuel price went up by 20%, which I think, I don't know fully her business model, but fuel is a big part of Miss Deb's business as an entrepreneur. She not only depend on government, she have employees. So she had a slim profit margin. So the fuel, when the fuel gone up, that automatically eat into Miss Deb's profit margin. So what does Miss Deb have to do? She has to decide, do I take that lick personally and absorb that increase in fuel, or do I pass some of it on? None of it is a good solution. Because if she absorbs it, she makes less money for all of her own personal expenses if she absorbs it. And if she passes it on, the price of her food goes up. and less people will stand up in that line. So it will cost Miss Debs more to reach where she needs to go, and it is going to, and it will make her line smaller because the price of burger will go up. And those people who stand in the line, all of them are affected by fuel too. And I said, well, I know I have to go drive them, Miss Debs, or they're driving their children to school, so I have to cut out burger. Do Belizeans understand the economics of what happens when fuel prices increase? Do we understand it? And it's not just Miss Debs that is moving, that fuel is a primary part of her business model. Papa Churros, another brilliant entrepreneur. Papa Churros, another line of delicious Belizean foods. Another entrepreneur whose business model relies on the price of fuel. So Papa Churros now, and you need to understand why this is not a PUP and not a UDP issue. You need to understand that the economy moves on fuel. So you have Papa Churros, their family makes their money, he provides for his family through this business model which relies on fuel. So you imagine that Papa Churros has calculated his profits based upon $12, maybe $12.50, $11.75. And so he sets his prices based upon this model. When you have this dramatic increase in the cost of fuel, that has an effect on the price of his product. So, you know, if an increase in price is for a very short period of time, you can absorb it, you know. You take your lick. That's what an entrepreneur does. But what we are seeing now is a price that moved to $12.50, moved up past $13, and is now, as I said, the last time I followed up, at $15.10. They pulled it down a little bit. I think it's at 14 high, maybe 14.85 or something in Belmopan. I'm not going to fill up gas yet, and I pray to the Lord that my gas lasts a little longer. I try to make less trips. And that is actually telling you there, if I am making less trips, that we are having a problem. And look at that 724 US that we have for Belize right there. 720 US dollars, that's US per gallon. Right? That is $14.54. Who's paying that? Probably Belize City, maybe. Because at the time that was posted right there, which said $7.24 US cents per gallon in Belize, I was paying $15.10 at the pump. I would say. So look at this chart. Most of Central America sells by the liter. Right? So how do you get the price per gallon? Come back to me. I want to say something. I really want to say something. You know, when I put the price per gallon up for all of Central America, you know, some Belizean, they quarrel with me that the rest of the other countries sell it in a liter and we sell it in a gallon. You know, they don't even know maths, but they want to quarrel. You don't even know maths, but you want to quarrel. Because yes, it is sold by liter, but 3.78 liters make a gallon. So all you have to do is multiply the price of the liter by 3.78 or 3.8, and you will get your price per gallon. So you can compare. It is possible to, man, this is the most basics farm one must even standard 6 maths. You can't do maths, but you want to quarrel because you're just a flag waver. Do we have a call? Let's take a call, 822-2031, to join our conversation this morning.
Good morning, Pastor Wade.
Good
morning,
morning.
Good morning, Pastor Wade. I'm getting a feedback. Okay. I called to respond to the question that you posed the public. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Good morning. You're on live. You're on.
Yeah. Okay, Pastor. I called to respond to the question you put to the public earlier, even though it may have been rhetorical. The question is, what do we do right now, since the Belizean people don't appear to understand the impact of the rise of fuel on the economy? Here's what I think needs to happen really, really quick, and I have not done the maths, but people need to begin to roll back and remove the tax and look at the economy without the tax and see where profit margins would be, then put back the tax and show the people of Belize exactly how much they have lost and given up in terms of opportunity cost by virtue of allowing our government to increase the tax at that level. And then right now to see exactly where it's going and how, in fact, it may not go back, and how to deal with that. That's the dilemma I see. Thank you, Pastor. I just want to make that comment.
Thank you very much. So I'm not accusing the government of theft, because we have not seen where any story has come out where any minister of government is embezzling or stealing or using government property for private gain. So if that is happening, the media needs to do its job, because the stories that are currently coming out in the media have to do with transport department. These were public servants. Immigration department, they're claiming it's public servants. The police, etc. Okay, so we cannot jump up and begin to say, oh, government, they thief the money and government, they take the money from. We can't, because the evidence has to be there. We're not going to do it. As I said, we're not political animals. So to make a government look bad, we will spew what is not in the public domain. Oh, they thief. Okay, well, just show us the proof, give us the evidence, and we have no problem breaking any story regarding corruption. Don't have a problem, right? So what they were doing as a matter of policy, as I said, is that fuel became one of the main ways. I don't even know if I could say main ways, but it had to be large because it was hidden in the budget. And it is the budget that dictates how government is going to spend. It is the budget that dictates that. So we, as a media house, cannot say that the government pump up the fuel price and then thief the money. Like that, we have not said that. We cannot say that. There is no evidence of that. What we are saying is that the government made a policy somewhere that this was going to be one of the ways that they generate revenue to carry out their plans. That's what I said. To carry out their plans. So they've been doing all of this information, all of these different things they have been doing. Because remember, they don't have Petro-Caribbean money, but Pantry have to continue. They're rolling out NHI all the way through Cayo. I'm not saying that that's exactly Petro-Caribbean money, but it moves the economy. They use that fuel price to move the economy. My argument is that as much as petroleum moves the economy, it slows the economy as well. Because the higher your fuel prices, I am giving the example of what Miss Deb and Papa Churros are going through right now as we speak. Right now as we speak. So the lower fuel prices go, the lower fuel prices and the less tax you are able to take from fuel, the economy moves faster. Prices stabilize more. Fuel is a driving factor when it comes to cost of living and inflation rates. It's driving. So what I am saying is that this pot of gold has suddenly disappeared because of Iran. It has disappeared. So government say, oh, we lost $80 million of revenue. I have no proof that they really lost $80 million worth of revenue. I have no proof that it could be more or it could be less. We take government at its word. But what I am saying is you are claiming that you lose $80 million revenue, yet our gas price is $14 and high. Or in my case, that's the last time I gonna full up. I don't care where anybody say, what the price? The gas where I run pan right now, the $15.10, so not tell me nothing. The gas I run pan right now is $15.10. And I can't even get a mile out of it because your vehicle tell you burn 20 miles per gallon. Right now you burn 18 miles per gallon. And I have a trailer, my boy. I got a trailer. So whenever I connect my trailer to my truck to do my business, my vehicle tell me you are getting 13 miles for the gallon. So 13 miles for the gallon, and I had to pay $15 for the gallon. I can't even get 1 mile for a dollar, for the dollar. For make I get, if I had to burn 13 miles per gallon right now, even if I pay $13 a gallon, that's still too expensive because I only get 1 mile for $1. So not gonna smile with me and try to tell me that things good, things not good. And we know a lie. We're not gonna lie. So let's put up back that poster for the whole country, for the whole of Central America. Belize have the most expensive price, my boy. And who have the cheapest? Bukele. Under $9, under $4.50 or $4.50 at the under $9 Belize. Under $9 Belize dollars for a gallon of gas in El Salvador. Consider that. Notice Panama. Panama is 477, which is about 944. So they're under $10. Could you imagine that Panama is under $10 when we Belize that are 15? You want to tell me something no wrong in Belize? And we have AI now, we have AI. AI will tell you why. AI will tell you why. So look at it. 121, 126, 133, 134, 138, 144, and Belize that are 194 per liter, 192 per liter, and those are US dollars. And by the way, you can either, because it's basic maths, you can either compare by liter, so you will move Belize to liters, which means you will divide, or you will move all the ones that are liters to gallon and you will multiply. That's how it works. It's simple mathematics. So we have people that Belize where they quarrel on behalf of government about liter and gallon. I don't even know the maths, Papa. I don't even know if I do the maths. You see? So, I checked the price of gas in Chetumal, and it's $11 and change. And you know, they have Magna and Premium. They have Magna and Premium. And I've said it before, I think I've said it on the air. Magna cheaper than fuel, I believe, and the fuel burns better. I get better mileage. Now people quarrel with me and say, oh, you can't get better mileage. Well, I don't know. That part, that no maths, that might be mechanics or chemistry. But as far as I feel, I get better distance from Chetumal gas than Belize gas. That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. And I tried over and over and over and over, and I get more mileage still. So maybe that's my thing, right? And I got no science to back it up. That's how I feel. So Chetumal is at 1140, maybe 1140. We're at 1510 or 14 high. And so when you ask AI, maybe I should ask AI out loud, not so? So I will ask AI, I don't even know if Millie AI, why does Belize have higher fuel prices than the rest of Central America?
One major reason is that Belize heavily taxes fuel. A significant portion of the price at the pump goes directly to government charges, including excise duties, environmental taxes, and general sales tax, or GST. Plus, since Belize doesn't refine its own fuel, it has to pay high transportation and storage costs to import it. There's also a lack of government subsidies compared to some neighboring countries. Does that make sense, or would you like to know more about the specific taxes involved?
What do you mean by Belize pays higher taxes on fuel than other Central American countries?
Belize applies multiple taxes on imported fuel. Besides basic import duties, there's also an environmental tax and the general sales tax, or GST. These taxes are layered on top of the base price, significantly increasing the total cost. In other Central American countries, the government might actively manage fuel costs by reducing taxes or providing subsidies to shield consumers, which doesn't happen to the same extent in Belize. Does that breakdown make sense?
Thank you. No.
You're very welcome. Fuel taxes are a major revenue source for the government in Belize, helping to fund things like roads and public services. Are there any other aspects of this you'd like to explore?
Right. So now I heard from me, all right, heard from AI. But what I am saying is Belize heavily taxes fuel. Now, one of the things that the government of Belize did recently that is creating, best I can say, is anger in the industry, is that instead of taking off more tax off fuel, government decided to take a percentage off what the gas station owners make. They have to make a profit, and apparently even their profit was set. In my opinion, if I can make 15% profit, which is not much, 15% profit, why are I going to invest in that? Why are I going to invest in that? I have to put in sweat, another pull out was salary. If you pull out a salary that maybe under 15% could work for you if you could pull out a salary before the profit. But if your sweat equity, if your sweat equity does not, it's sweat equity, so you're not getting a salary from it, but at the end, you want to be able to pull out. Anybody who goes to invest, you want to pull out money from your investment, and you have your different percentages that you want to get back. But 15%, I wouldn't go below that. I wouldn't. I'd laugh because this PlusTV not qualifier, right? PlusTV that PlusTV not included in that. But if I were to go into any other business, right? PlusTV is a part of our ministry and a part of heart and soul and that kind of craziness. So we don't pull. We have a greater philosophical reason for being in PlusTV. Let's take this call.
Pastor Wade, one last comment. Whilst this is happening to everybody else, ironically, there are there's a small group of people making a lot of money. Who is Puma and why do they have an exclusive in purchasing fuel products for Belize? And why is the market not free for entrepreneurs to source fuel from the cheapest sources around the world? What's up with that? Thank you.
All right, so we were getting, I think under the United Democratic Party, petroleum was coming from Venezuela. We were still paying substantial price for petroleum under Hugo Chavez, Petrocaribe, but the profits could have gone to local use. So the government still had to pay a price at the pump, which was then collected, and then that is the government that Belize could have used through Petrocaribe. And then the idea was that when you pay back to Petrocaribe, you didn't have to pay in hard cold cash. You could pay in foods, you could pay in resources from the country itself. So Petrocaribe was a good deal, which was squandered for the most part. So the government, by allowing one company to import, it makes it easier because you can know how much come in and you can know how much fuel get pumped out at the different pumps. So it's easier to monitor the taxes when it's one company. I think there is also one company in Belize that has a depot, this huge depot that is near the port of Belize. I don't think anybody else has anything close to that except B&E when it was exporting raw crude from Big Creek in Independence. So that facility was also used previously to bring oil, Petrocaribe oil, but at the same time another company was bringing in oil, petroleum to the country. The genius of the UDP at that particular time was to say, no, we won't now have these two competing groups bringing in oil. We will have only one. And that became Petrocaribe for the period of time that it ran. So I'm going just according to my memory, okay? So please don't hold me hard and fast to this. But I think what the UDP did to create that bonanza of funds was to say, no, we won't have two, we will have one. And so that one continues. And previous to that, it was one. So Petrocaribe made it two, then it became one, created a bonanza of funds, and so we are still at 1, though Petrocaribe is not there anymore. And so it's easier to manage and to collect taxes from it. So there is no competition, and the argument could easily be, it's a small country, and the amount of fuel that we purchase is small. And I think that's an acceptable explanation for why 1. Now, there are people who are out there arguing, oh, Belize don't have millions of people. Belizean doesn't have millions of people, so we buy less fuel, and so it costs us more. Liar. Liar. Not true. Not true. Not true. Because we would or should, the quantity that we purchase is not necessarily population based, but it would be based on the size of your depot. So if you want to buy more fuel, you can double your capacity of your depot because gas no spoil. And then, how are you transporting it into the country? Are you using a cheaper method, like ship? The ship is the cheapest method of transporting fuel. That is why all the ships are at the Hormuz. And that is why the depot is close to the port of Belize. But if you shift your method of how you get fuel and where you get it from, if you get your fuel away from Salvador as opposed to Mexico or whatever those specific logistics are, if you are bringing it by land, you are choosing the most expensive method to bring the fuel to Belize. Right? So Petrocaribe did not come by land, it came by ship. And previously, fuel came by ship. So how is fuel coming into the country right now? Are you choosing the most expensive route? Right? Follow me here. If by ship, I'm just using it as a random example. Don't quote me on the price. If by ship, the shipment was $1 per gallon. Don't quote me on this. I'm just doing the maths. If by ship, it's $1 a gallon to bring it in by ship, then the tax on that dollar will be 12.5. So when you land and you add the first tax to it, 12.5, it moves from $1 to $112.50. But if you not use the ship and you use one more expensive way to bring the money in, to bring the gas in, you're going by land, and by land at $2 per gallon, just shipment. I'm not talking about the cost of fuel, I'm talking about the shipment. And you decide that you will bring it by land instead. So instead of you bringing in the gas $1 a gallon, you bring it in $2 a gallon. You know what government can do? They're happy. Why? Because they will tax that 12.5 too. And 12.5 of $1 is 112. But 12.5% of $2 is $24 to $12.50, $25. $25. You see? So they don't need that. Okay. So sorry about that. So do you understand that if you choose a more expensive way to bring the fuel in, you will still have to pay the 12.5%, which doubles, and so the price of gas don't gone up by bringing it into a different method. Done the up in my scenario is more expensive already by $1.25, and that is going to carry right through all of the other expenses. It's going to follow through. So you have to buy the cheapest fuel and transport it the cheapest way and store it the cheapest way for you to have the cheapest gasoline. Because it affects the entire structure, financial structure. If you are buying it at the same price, but you're transporting it through a more expensive means. So I hope people understand these things. We need to understand these things. That they know how much fuel you burn. Because one country could buy fuel every day, another country could be buying it every week, another country could be buying it every month. It depends on the size of your depot. And if you really want to buffer your country from the shocks of fluctuating price on the world market, then you build a bigger depot so that you can buy it cheap, hold it, sell it, and you are less susceptible to the fluctuations based upon the volume that you purchase, not just the volume that you consume. Because you would want to purchase enough that you can capitalize on the prices when they are low. So those are just parts of the dynamics of the whole petroleum process. It's an industry. But Belize cannot have free education and free health care without having high taxes. I will repeat it, because everybody happy about free health care and everybody happy about free education. Man, I happy too. But who's paying for it? It has to come from tax. You only have tax grants and loans. There are only three things: tax grants and loans. Please help me if there is a fourth. There isn't. And nobody will grant you money to make you spend that on cheap gas or free education. Nobody will give you grant, make you spend it on free education and free health care. And it would be stupid and unwise to have free education and free health care based on borrowed money. So there's only one thing left where free education and free health care could come from, and it's taxes. It's taxes. A decision to spend taxes on that. And if you can't cover your budget based on taxes because you have to get loans and grants, how you offer free education and free health care when you done in at the red? That is like a family where they make money per month just enough, not even enough to feed the family, but they are half a party to the whole neighborhood. You go and borrow the money for that, or you are starved. So what are the things that Belize needs to do to have a free education and free health care? Because we would love free education because you get smarter, so you could come up with more ideas and grow the economy. And you're healthier, free health care, you're healthier so that you could work and build the economy. So the purpose of free education and free health care is to build your economy. That's the purpose of free education and free health care, is to grow your economy. But in order to have free education and free health care, your economy have to be a certain size, and you need something like fine oil. Guyana have free education all the way to university because they find oil. Belize, we don't want fine oil, but we still want free education and free health care. So where the money will come from? Gasoline, gas, high tax, higher tax. So we'll take a break, and when we return, we will close off.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my
Prepare for the sweltering heat with a Ream AC unit to keep you and your family cool and cozy. Get the recommended BTU for your bedroom or living room and enjoy complete comfort. You can also save some much needed cash with an inverter unit which provides superior energy efficiency. When the heat is on, stay cool with an affordable, dependable AC unit from Ream. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting. Just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
I have the house of the neighborhood. Everyone comes and say, "Oh my goodness, Miss Allen, your house looks so good. It's so high." Man, I'm so overwhelmed. My goodness, I actually own my own house, and I didn't even expect to be the recipient of no government, nothing, never. I've never thought about that for myself. I always thought about working, making it for myself, and one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to see what my government can do for me. It doesn't matter who was in. When this lady called me and said, "Miss Allen, my name is Marisa, and I'd like to meet with you." After sending in an application to MIDH, email, not through anybody else, but through email, the first thing that she told me that this is not politically based. So we're going to go off. You're a single mother and you made this application as a Belizean citizen. I knew right then that I was in good hands. We signed that paper, and that was the happiest day of my life. And it's been 4.5 years. I always ask God for guidance and the words to speak to her whenever I had any concern, and how to best go around it so that she doesn't get frustrated and I don't get frustrated. We couldn't get here today if I did not take a seat and just be patient and trust God and trust her to deliver this house to me.
Many times people get very frustrated, they call, they say mean things, but we have to understand them, and my team now has gotten to the point where we understand the frustrations of our people.
I am very proud of this project with building the homes and providing Belizeans with hope. This is the first time I've seen a project affect Belize nationally.
Cada conexión es más que solo una señal, es un estudiante abriendo las puertas a su futuro a través de la educación digital. Una mente joven atreviéndose a soñar en grande. Nuestra cultura compartida con el mundo en tiempo real. Y héroes cotidianos respondiendo al llamado del deber cívico. Cuando nos conectamos con Digi, empoderamos a Belice.
Some hands do more than carry. They prepare, they fix, they comfort. They keep a home moving in ways few people notice. And even when the day is done, they are still thinking of home. For the months of May and June, we celebrate the hands that hold the home together, offering you 25% off on tiles, lights, fans, ACs, gardening supplies, and more, both in-store and online. Thank you, moms and dads, from Builders Hardware.
The biggest tournament requires the ultimate streaming experience with NextGen TV. Win with NextGen. Pay your bill or sign up for a NextGen bundle plan for a chance to win a 43, 55, or up to 65-inch smart TV bundle, a brand new soundbar, and many more prizes. Get ready to witness football history being made with NextGen. Not a NextGen TV subscriber yet? Contact us to subscribe today. NextGen TV, your stadium at home.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize.
It's 5 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour, and we got to get the week started. We know that the dry season, as we said, is very slowly coming to a close. At least we hope so. When we see the clouds gathering, but we're not seeing rain as yet. We are seeing some overcast, and I am encouraging as many Belizeans as possible to do some gardening. But that's not the only thing that we've been encouraging people to do. I firmly believe the passage of scripture which says, in the morning sow your seed, and in the evening do not let your hands be idle, for you do not know which one will prosper, whether this or that or both. What is that telling us? In the morning sow your seed talks about maybe the main thing that you do. Is it farming? Do you go to work 9 to 5 or 8 to 5? Do the main thing that you do, but don't let that be the only thing that you do. In the morning sow your seed, but in the evening do not let your hands be idle. What is that other thing that you do? Start a business, ask God for creative ideas, do something on the side. In America, they hold on a second job. I don't too particularly recommend holding down a second job where you have a job in the day and a job in the night. I don't believe that, because then when will you have the time to do something for yourself that is going to get you off that 9 to 5 grind where your money is now working for you? This is the idea of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship versus the person who is simply an employee. Employee, your energy, your time, your efforts, even your talents go to the place where you get paid. But in the evening, do not let your hands be idle speaks about a time that you set aside where a part of your skills, your time, your assets, your money go to something else that can generate revenue for you into the future. You cannot rely when you retire, you cannot rely on Social Security. You can't rely on pension. Why? Inflation creeps up and the amount of money that you get, it's locked off based upon what you earned. So that amount of money that you get for pension or social security, that's going to hold you for the rest of your life. I rarely find that when there is an increase in pay, there's also an increase in pension. It's not a realistic scenario or something that can happen all the time. So whatever you're locked down to when you finish working and you're retired, and if it's pension that you're going to live on, like that's it. So I am a firm believer that you start from early to start a business, be an entrepreneur, come up with an idea, something on the side, and that thing can grow. The Bible says you do not know which will prosper, whether this or that. So for some people, what they do mainly in the day, that will continue to be the bread and butter, and what you do in the evening will be on the side. But the Bible says you don't know which will prosper. So there's a time that maybe the evening, what you do in the extra time begins to take over your daytime, and then that becomes your full occupation. That's what happened in my life. I was a teacher for 14 years. And by investing in Shamax Productions, we end up with PlusTV, something, and then I'm no longer a teacher because that other thing became more successful than just teaching. So if I was still teaching, maybe I'd be retiring this last year. Last year I would have been retiring. But I'm still in the thick of things. Thank God for that. So in the morning, sow your seed. In the evening, do not let your hands be idle, for you do not know which one will prosper, whether this or that. And then it ends up by saying, or both. That if what you do in the day prospers and what you do in the evening prospers, then there is wealth that is generated there. And so I don't believe in this sub umbra floreo, under the shade of the tree we flourish, in a realistic manner. Maybe philosophically there is something to it, but realistically, you better get out in that hot sun hat and put in your work. Sweat equity. By the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. From all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. Thank you so much for joining on this beautiful Monday morning. See you tomorrow.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize.